I just realized that. Welcome back to another visual effects artist react video.
You guys have probably seen those videos where like professionals react to videos pertaining to their career.
And we wanted to do the same thing because visual effects are super cool and sometimes they're really bad.
The Matrix is one of my favorite movies of all time.
I can quote this entire movie.
Trinity!
Help! So The Matrix honestly is what inspired me to start getting into visual effects because they had a pretty small effects team, all things considered, and it was just really genius application of technology that made it good. All right, this shot right here.
Ah, such a revolutionary shot.
I love that shot. It makes my heart flutter. And The Matrix was one of the first films to kind of pull off one of these shots where the camera is just this virtual object that can move anywhere it wants at any speed. Hey, you guys want to hear something that might blow your mind, and you too? This background is 100% CG.
So you're saying the only thing that's real in that entire shot is the Keanu?
The Keanu Reeves is the only real thing in that entire shot. So the way they did this shot, instead of taking one camera and moving it through a circle, just put a camera at each position where there'd be a frame and just hit a button and they all take a picture at once, or at least slightly offset from each other in this case.
Look at that, look at the spacing of those cameras. They knew the speed at which they wanted to have the camera flying around certain moments and they built that into the spacing of the cameras.
That's crazy.
I just realized that. I always assumed that they were evenly spaced.
There's more frames here in the spin than there are cameras. What they actually needed to do is basically do little mini morphs to get the frames in between the cameras. So you basically have a low frame rate version, and then you go through and you do frame interpolation, it's called, which is basically just morphing from frame to frame to fill in those in-betweens.
And you can actually see those artifacts in his cape, his jacket.
Oh yeah.
If you really look at like the folds and whatnot, they do kind of like morph between each other on certain frames.
Now here's the thing. So they built a big green screen room. There's all these little holes, you know, where the cameras are pointed through. And they filmed Keanu Reeves on a green screen. What happens when you're doing a 360 rig and you're on one side of the rig looking at the other side of the rig? You see all the cameras. So they had to recreate the background in CG. Now this is a problem in 1999 because you don't have the capabilities to make photorealistic CG, and yet here we are with a photorealistic background.
So why is it photoreal, Nico?
So the trick that they came up with was, hey, let's just go to our actual set. We'll literally just take pictures of it as is, with all the lighting already baked in, the shadows already there, and we'll just use that as a texture, and that's it. Most people don't notice this, but when Trinity does her kick, the background is 100% CG, and when Agent Smith and Neo jump at each other and they're holding the guns in the subway, the background is also 100% CG in those shots.
Nice.
If you wanted to remake this shot yourself, all you'd have to do is get a bunch of cameras, they wouldn't have to be expensive ones, some green screen poster board, and an actor who flops, and there you go. It takes some work, but it's by all means something that's doable. One person could recreate this effect shot these days.
Superman, can we ask you some questions?
Ooh,
Oh boy.
that is wonky looking.
He looks like he has like cotton stuff underneath his lips. He's like, hey, I'm Superman. So okay, what actually happened here is they filmed the Justice League. Henry Cavill or Henry Cavill? Henry filmed Superman, and then he goes on to film Mission Impossible, where he has this really cool looking mustache, right? But during the filming of that movie, they had to do reshoots for Superman. They wouldn't let him shave his mustache.
He was contractually obligated to have a mustache. Can you
Yeah.
imagine signing a contract that says you have to have a mustache?
At the end of the day, this is just like movie studios just like flexing at each other, being like, oh no, we have a contract saying he can't shave his mustache, so what are you gonna do? And they're like, I guess we'll CG it. They had to straight up recreate his entire mouth, match it as best they could, and then just composite the render over his mustache. But then you have to blend it further in, so you end up having to use more fake face than the real face to make it all work together, and then you end up with basically a mostly fake mouth. The hardest thing to recreate about the face is the lips.
It looks
It's not
pretty good.
that bad. It's not that bad there.
This scene is actually pretty solid.
Oh, this one. I've seen this one. The corners of his mouth don't like fold in on each other correctly. Yeah, that looks weird.
It's too smooth.
It's way too smooth, and it stretches weird.
Do you think they took his mustache and like combed it up and then combed it down and just like got a straight, like they just crunched it
Goes
together
straight
as
out?
much as possible? It just goes straight out. Yeah.
So this is another example of where someone did a deep fake over the top of this and it looks better.
Deepfakes are pretty interesting technology. The next video coming out on this channel is us experimenting with deepfakes. If you'd like to check that out, consider subscribing. That looks great.
Nah, I'm seeing some blurry.
I can see why they had issues with the corners of the mouth because